What is actually happening with SpaceX's moon landing, November 2025? The world watches as SpaceX moves closer to one of the most ambitious goals in human history, returning humans to the surface of the moon. But behind the sleek rocket launches, bold statements, and political soundbites, something far more complex is unfolding. The truth is, SpaceX's moon landing isn't just about technology anymore. It's about politics, timing, and a race against not just physics, but bureaucracy and global competition. So, what's actually happening with SpaceX's moon landing? Let's start with the moment that changed everything. October 20th, 2025. Acting NASA Administrator Sean Duffy takes the stage on CNBC's Squawk Box and delivers a statement that instantly sends shockwaves across the aerospace community. He says, quote, "I love SpaceX. It's an amazing company. The problem is, they're behind. They've pushed their timelines out and we're in a race against China." Those words set off a firestorm, not just because they called out Elon Musk's company publicly, but because they exposed what everyone inside the space community already knew. The Artemis program, the United States' grand plan to return to the moon, is in serious trouble. Duffy's frustration might sound like he's blaming SpaceX, but the delays run much deeper than that. NASA's own Space Launch System, the massive rocket built by Boeing and Lockheed Martin, took more than a decade to fly. Its first uncrewed test mission finally launched in November 2022, after 11 years of development. The second flight, Artemis II, was supposed to carry astronauts around the moon in 2024. That's been delayed to 2026, and even that date looks shaky. Meanwhile, SpaceX, working independently, has built, tested, and exploded its way through 22 Starship test flights in just 5 years, each launch bringing them one step closer to building the most powerful and reusable rocket ever made. But here's where it gets political. When Duffy went on national television, threatening to open up SpaceX's lunar contract to other bidders like Blue Origin, it wasn't just about technical progress. It was about optics, leadership, and control. SpaceX won the $2.9 billion NASA contract in 2021 to develop their human landing system, the Starship HLS, beating out Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin in the process. Since then, SpaceX has been racing to turn Starship from a Mars dream into a moon reality. And when Duffy made those comments, Elon Musk fired back instantly, taking to his platform X, calling Duffy a dangerously stupid, unqualified dummy trying to kill NASA. The clash wasn't just personal, it was symbolic. It exposed a deep tension between old space and new space, between government bureaucracy and private innovation. But in the wake of that chaos, something unexpected happened. President Trump appointed a new NASA head, Jared Isaacman, a billionaire, jet pilot, astronaut, and crucially, someone who shares Elon Musk's vision of private-led space exploration. That appointment may have changed everything. Because right after that, SpaceX released something we hadn't seen in years, an inside look into the real progress of their lunar Starship program. Proof that they're not just talking about landing on the moon, they're actively building it. Now this is where things get fascinating. SpaceX revealed that Starship's development is actually moving along two distinct paths. Path 1, the one we've all seen, is the core Starship system, the gigantic stainless steel rocket launching from Starbase, designed primarily for Mars. Every test, every explosion, every success we've seen from Texas has been part of that Mars vision. And this massive project? It's entirely self-funded by SpaceX. NASA's lunar money isn't even being spent on it. Path 2, however, has been happening mostly in secret. And this is where the lunar Starship comes in. SpaceX calls it HLS, the Human Landing System. This is the ship that will take American astronauts down to the lunar surface and bring them back up. Since 2022, SpaceX has completed 49 major project milestones on the HLS, everything from life support systems to docking ports, from landing legs to communications. And according to SpaceX, the vast majority of these milestones were completed on time or ahead of schedule. So, what's been happening behind the scenes? Let's break it down. Inside a private facility, SpaceX engineers have built a full-scale interior mock-up of the lunar Starship cabin. It's not just a shell, it's a living test bed for life support systems, temperature control, humidity regulation, and the practical realities of human life on the moon. Multiple test participants have spent hours inside, simulating life on the lunar surface. Somewhere else, SpaceX has been testing the landing legs of the lunar Starship, using a full-sized HLS model in a simulated lunar soil environment. They've been lifting and dropping this prototype to study how the legs absorb impact and stabilize the ship on the dusty, uneven surface of the moon. None of this has been seen publicly. No footage, no press releases. But SpaceX confirmed that those tests are well underway. Then there's the airlock and elevator system, the bridge between space and the moon's surface. SpaceX partnered with Axiom Space, the company building the next-generation lunar suits, to test this critical system. They've run fully pressurized rehearsals, with astronauts practicing stepping from the airlock into the elevator and descending to the lunar surface, exactly as they'll do on Artemis III. But that's only part of the story. SpaceX has also been developing a specialized variant of Starship called the SpaceX Moon Fuel Depot, a spacecraft designed to store and transfer cryogenic propellants in orbit. It's painted white, just like the HLS lander, to reflect sunlight and maintain ultra-cold temperatures. These depot ships will refuel the lunar starships in Earth orbit before heading to the moon. Now here's where the challenge becomes almost science fiction. No one in history has ever transferred cryogenic fuel, liquid oxygen and methane, between two spacecraft in orbit. It's never been done. And SpaceX plans to make it a routine operation. This isn't just another test. It's the linchpin of the entire Starship ecosystem. Without it, Starship can't reach the moon efficiently. With it, the possibilities are endless. They're also testing Raptor engine throttling for lunar landing, carefully simulating soft touchdown sequences using precise thrust control. These tests ensure that Starship can land without kicking up a blinding cloud of lunar dust or damaging its own landing legs. At the same time, they're conducting Raptor cold start tests, freezing engines to simulate the deep space environment and ensuring they can restart after days or weeks in the vacuum. That's crucial for the trip home. Then there's impact testing, micrometeoroid and debris simulations where they bombard HLS materials with high-speed projectiles to replicate the kind of punishment the ship might endure in orbit or on the moon. Combine that with extreme heat and cold cycles and they're stress testing Starship for the harshest environments imaginable. And it doesn't stop there. SpaceX is developing autonomous navigation software that will allow Starship to find and land on safe lunar sites automatically. The ship's onboard computer will analyze terrain data in real time using radar, sensors, and high-resolution cameras. It's essentially teaching a spacecraft to land itself on an alien world. Alongside that, SpaceX is building advanced communications systems, ensuring constant data and voice transmission between astronauts, the ship, and Earth. Because on the lunar surface, every second of silence could mean disaster. All of this leads to the bigger picture, what Elon Musk called a simplified mission architecture. What does that mean? In simple terms, Musk wants to cut out the middlemen. The SLS rocket, the Orion capsule, the complex handoffs between government-built systems and SpaceX technology. Musk's vision is that Starship will do the entire mission itself. Launch from Earth, carry astronauts to the moon, land, and return them safely. One vehicle, one company, one mission. Of course, there's one catch. The lunar Starship isn't designed to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. It doesn't have a heat shield or aerodynamic fins. But Musk's plan could include docking Starship to a Dragon capsule in orbit for re-entry, or even launching the crew aboard Dragon, rendezvousing with Starship in orbit, and then heading to the moon together. Either way, SpaceX has all the parts needed to make that work, right now. And that's why Musk's claim isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. He's not just proposing a faster way, he's proposing a completely new paradigm for lunar exploration. Now, whether NASA will approve such a move is still uncertain. But with Jared Isaacman now leading the agency and political pressure mounting to achieve a moon landing before the end of President Trump's term, SpaceX suddenly finds itself in a position of unprecedented freedom. Isaacman understands SpaceX. He's flown their rockets. He trusts their engineering. And that makes 2026 and 2027 critical years, the window where talk must finally turn into action. By mid-2026, NASA hopes to launch Artemis II, a crewed mission around the moon. If successful, it will pave the way for Artemis III, the first human lunar landing in over 50 years. And right now, All signs point to SpaceX's Starship as the key vehicle that will make it happen. But the road ahead is still turbulent. Politics, funding, and technical risks continue to collide. Every test flight brings new hope and new uncertainty. Yet one thing remains clear. SpaceX has reignited humanity's dream of the moon. They've pushed what's possible in rocket engineering further in 5 years than many thought achievable in 50. And maybe that's why, despite the politics, despite the delays, despite the controversies, there's a growing sense that this isn't just about NASA or SpaceX. It's about all of us. About reclaiming the spirit of exploration that defined the Apollo era and proving that the moon isn't the end and it's the beginning of everything else. So as 2026 approaches, one question remains. Will the first human footprints of the 21st century on the lunar surface belong to NASA astronauts? Or will they belong to Elon Musk's Starship crew? Either way, history is being written. And this time, the countdown to the moon has already begun.